People out there trying to salvage it are the sellout Benedict Arnolds in the Republican Party. Listen, I got to tell you something. I know how complicated politics are for the average person, and they're very complicated. Sometimes I try to put my mind into the average listener, and I watch a lot of pulp shows on television at night. First of all, I like them. They relax me. There's one I like on Investigation Discovery, like Crazy Neighbors, Neighbors from Hell, that usually go bad, or, you know, Wives with Knives. I love those shows. And one of the reasons I like it is they're well acted. They're good melodramas. They've got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you more or less know it ends in tragedy. So it's like, it's worth waiting during the ads, you know, and this and that. But then they flash in the middle of the actors, the real people that they're portraying, if you've ever watched it. And I like to actually see the real persons, the real people who committed these crimes. They look like the average person next door. And they'll show them in their houses in Columbus and Ohio, sitting in their busted out, you know, easy chair with the wife before she dies of cancer. And then he goes berserk and shoots his neighbor because the snowblower was too loud. Shoots him 7 times on the ground. Like, what? Are you kidding me? And then his scum lawyer gets him off saying it was self-defense. The snowblower threatened him. He thought he was going to be attacked by the snowblower. I swear to God, how do lawyers live with themselves? I mean, why don't they just get up in the morning and cut their throats, guys like that? I mean, I recognize you're supposed to be as vociferous in your defense of a client as possible, but must you lie about it? I say to myself. But anyway, the point is, I look at a guy like that in a show like that, and I say to myself, if he's listening to my show, he's not going to pick up on the esoterica that I do. He's not going to go for the highbrow stuff that I do from time to time. He wants the meat and potatoes. He wants Democrats bad, Republicans good white Americans. He wants to hear the pap that Rush Limbaugh feeds every day. Dems bad, Repubs good. Dems bad, Repubs good. Dems bad, Repubs good. Well, now the new twist from those who are Republican water carriers is that the Republicans are also bad. They all copied my act, the independent Michael Savage. So the point is, it's very complicated. So what are you listening to the radio for? You're going to get the news. You get the news anyway. You can get it every 10 minutes on a news show. My job is to kind of give you an analysis of the news. So here's an analysis of the big news of the day. Your president, I call him the amazing shrinking president, not only is he physically disappearing, actually I'm frightened for him. I think he's sick. Am I the only one who says the king is sick? Why is he so skinny? If you had a family member who was shrinking away physically like this, would you not worry about him? I mean, he is the president. I despise his politics, but he is the president of my nation. So the guy not only is shrinking, the amazing shrinking president, not only shrinking physically, which is worrisome, but he's shrinking politically. His signature bill was Obamacare, socialized medicine, which he snuck in and coerced in. He tried the same with Obamatrade, and his own party screwed him. And the only people trying to save him are the so-called good Republicans that Rush Limbaugh loves so well. It's unbelievable to me what's going on. It's getting more complicated by the day to figure this out. So the real question is, why do liberal Democrats oppose the Obama trade bill? Why would these phenomenal left-wing fanatics like Ron Wyden, Dianne Feinstein, why? Why would they not want this trade bill with China? Why are the unions opposed to it? Because the unions, as you well know, are out to destroy America just as well as the Democrat-Republican Party is. So why all of a sudden is the union concerned about jobs in America when they haven't been concerned all along? If the unions were concerned about jobs in America, would they be for bringing in millions and millions of workers who are undercutting salaries, for example, on H-1B visas? Don't tell me the unions care about jobs. The fact of the matter is they're bringing in as many skilled workers as they can to make sure that greedy pig, Mark Zuckerberg, makes billions more. I loved him marching in an undershirt for illegal aliens, like he cares about illegal aliens. Mark Faceberg. He wants cheap IT workers. Don't you get it? It's the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Well, it happened. The amazing shrinking president is not only physically disappearing, but he has politically disappeared as well. His left wing has basically defeated him on the trade bill. It actually wasn't the trade bill per se. It was a debate about whether to go to the trade bill on a vote, and the left wing said no to him on this secret, sneaky anti-jobs bill. And the only people trying to save it are Mitch McConnell and Orrin Hatch, the same people, by the way, who gave us the likes of Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the United States Supreme Court. Same people who gave us Loretta Lynch are now trying to give us a trade bill with China that would kill jobs and industries. So there it is. Now the White House is putting the spin on it, saying that this defeat was only a procedural snafu, etc. But the fact is, this was the biggest loss in Obama's political career. My only wish would be that the same coalition would get together to put a stop to the flood of illegal aliens coming into America and take a close look at the type of immigrants that Obama has prioritized into the United States of America to remake it in his own image. That is largely not white. You know, one of these days I'm going to do a show on the European American contributions to civilization, particularly our society and our civilization. I am so sick of listening to this rubbish about the white male and the white race and white privilege that I'm going to do a whole show, an entire show. I've done it before, by the way, on white male inventions, which was immediately ignored by the media. But the fact of the matter is, I'm sick of listening to this garbage. And if I'm going to hear shows about African American, Asian American, Indian American, this American, well, what's wrong with doing a show on European Americans and their contributions to civilization, especially ours? But I want to turn to this European American's contributions to civilization, Michael Savage, since I come from people who came from Europe, and I'm an American, I'm a European American, and I've contributed a number of books, broadcasts, I've rescued some rainforests, I've done some scientific research that will last for centuries, by the way. The collections are in museums around the world. I never talk about it, but you'll find that it's true. And today I want to talk about a novel called Countdown to Mecca, which is launched today in the bookstores after long last. I've been waiting for it to come out for months now with all the news about Islam and this and that. I thought it should have been out a month ago. So what I've done is something I've never done before. I have 2 more chapters to go. I said that I would read the first 2 pages of each of the first 5 chapters today. And then maybe the next time I'm on the radio, I'll read the next 2 pages of the first 5 chapters for a couple of days to see what you think of it. And then I'm asking you if you can find the book in the bookstores. We're getting one report after another of the bookstores not having the book. Once again, Michael Savage is banned from bookstores. Once again, there's a blacklist. Once again, there's subterfuge. Once again, there's sabotage. And then we're talking about a political topic, which is a poll showing those in the United States drifting away from religion. Now, since this was done by the Pew Group, I don't really trust it that much, but it says the number of people identifying as Christians went down from 78% to 70% from 2007 to 2014. Okay. Those identified as Jewish rose 0.2%. Now, how can you figure that out? While those identifying as Muslim more than doubled to 0.9%. No kidding. Those identified as Hindus rose slightly to 0.7%. Thank God for that. I love Indian food. The more curry joints, the better. And of course, that's not what the Indians are bringing anymore. They're tech workers, so guys like Zuckerberg can make more billions, and Microsoft, Mr. Nice Guy, can pocket even more money. And the number of Buddhists was unchanged at 0.7%. The poll surveyed roughly 35,000 adults across the U.S. between June and September by telephone. By telephone. Excuse me, by telephone? Hello? Who is it? I'm with the pew poll. Drop dead and you hang up. What do you mean by telephone? They don't even use cell phones? They call landlines on a poll and they think this is an accurate survey? All right, hold it a minute. Beyond belief. So that's the topic we're going to talk about. Now, I turn on the cable channels. They're all like genuflecting now. Another black youth was apparently shot by a cop in Madison, Wisconsin. So the entire world has come to an end. They're already rioting. They haven't burnt Madison yet to the ground, but soon. This is going on now for an hour on four channels. This is the only thing we're supposed to pay attention to now is this kind of incident. So I'm going to go back to what matters to me, which is ideas and entertainment. So let's go to the next chapter of Countdown to Mecca. Those of you who've been listening got a treat, because most of you won't buy a book. In the last chapter 3, page 2 pages, Jack is walking with Saul Minsky, the Jewish gangster, and they're talking about, things that are very political, and which, remember, we closed about unions and stuff like that. So now we go to chapter 4, West Point, New York, where the generals who are plotting to do this horrible thing are first introduced. Well, it's after the hooker scene in the Hyatt. Okay, page 34. West Point, New York. Stop navel-gazing, Captain. General Montgomery Morton snapped as he and Captain Stephen Reynolds marched across the empty field of West Point Skeet Range. It was quiet on campus. The students and faculty were on vacation. But as high-ranking alumni and military officers, they still had the run of the place. The sooner we get this over with, the better. In normal times, Captain Reynolds, the man Anastasia Vincent had dubbed Pallor, wouldn't be anywhere near his alma mater. But these were not normal times. What he and the others were trying to do had been described as ambitious by some members of the team, crazy by others. Whether it succeeded depended on how well they all completed their assignments. Reynolds had taken great personal pride in his end of the mission, securing the orthorhombic element they needed, getting it on a passenger aircraft rather than a military transport, smuggling it out of Russia, ditching the aircraft on the Caspian Sea, and conveying it by motorized raft to the Azerbaijani shore. The plan was flawless. He had something gone wrong with the execution? Well, at least it's a beautiful day for a hanging, Colonel Andrew Bullseye Taylor, the man Anastasia thought of as Kid, smirked. As usual, his attitude grated on Morton's nerves. He was the spoiled scion of a wealthy family, sliding through life with a smug grin on his face. Shut up, Bullseye, Morton snapped. You know your wisecracks don't fly with the general. Well, the way he sounded, I'd be surprised if anything will be flying with the general anymore, Taylor said to Morton. Don't you know when you've been summoned to an execution? Silence settled on the three men, unremarkable in their tweed shooting clothes. They made their way onto the United States Military Academy's outdoor rifle range, arriving at the ordered time. General Thomas Brooks, also in a tweed jacket, was standing at the outdoor rifle table lined with Browning, Caesar Gorini, and Winchester shotguns. A solid square man with the swept-back gray hair and a lined, wind-burnished face, he looked at the three with flinty eyes. Bullseye felt the man's power even when he didn't want to. Here was a soldier who became a three-star general by doing incredibly brave acts that verged on insanity. Insanity that could just as easily be focused on his subordinates. I know what you're thinking, he told him in his gravelly voice. Is this wise, General? Should we be seen together? Brooks hefted his Remington 1100 and rested it on his shoulder, as if on a parade ground. Well, R.H.I.P., they all know what that meant. Rank has its privileges. How do you keep people from noticing a group of West Point graduates? You put them in a place where people are accustomed to seeing them. Bullseye felt even more anxious now. There was no one around. You ordered us here, General, Morton said. We're here. What's this about? What is this about? Brooks said softly, ominously. Firebird is fine, if that's what concerns you. That was both good news and bad news. At once the other three men knew what this was about. I will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve, Brooks quoted, as if Morton hadn't spoken. Therefore strike off their heads and strike off every fingertip of them. Who said that? Asked the general. He looked into the face of each man. Reynolds seemed to look back at him, but in fact, his gaze wavered between the general's eyebrows and eyelashes. Bullseye looked around, like a soldier on